Right. I like the extra added time of the opening because I hadn't put down any paper towels. So, welcome in, everybody. This is going to be a how to add large trees to your painting. Now, this painting I just did earlier today in class, so it's still partly wet, a little bit tacky, right? If your scene is already dry, because a lot of you have already painted the Oregon Coast scene. So if you want to go back and give it a little bit more depth and add these big trees, you need to put liquid clear or linseed oil across the entire canvas, okay? That way it's all the same amount of wet again, right? If we have any dry spots, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So I've always found if you add that bit of your liquid clear across your canvas, that you can then go back and add our trees, right? So we're going to use our black, our blue, our brown, and our yellow ochre, and then possibly a bit of green to highlight some foliage if we think we need to. And if not, it can remain a silhouette and they look amazing, okay? Now, first thing we're going to want to do is mix up our black and our blue and our brown. That's the Van Dyke brown, the deeper, darker browns. All right, we need that brown in there to turn our plaque mix into brack mix. And as you can see, it just hurts my heart to get a brand new palette dirty. Woof, boy. What was that? Was that a comment? Yeah. Another Facebook comment. Guys, we are going crazy. We're almost up to 897,000 followers. About to hit 900K. I didn't realize there were that many people over on Facebook still. Literally. But it's going to become my biggest audience when it surpasses Instagram here in a couple months. So once we've got our dark mix mixed up, okay, we've got our old Oregon Coast scene out there, literally mine just from an hour ago, well, a couple hours ago in the class. And while my sky is still kind of wet, I didn't like how the birds came out in this scene. So if we come up here, see how the birds just instantly blend away, even though the painting is a couple hours old, because the birds are so light and it's mostly paint thinner, right? It will blend away, be totally gone, missing from our scene. You guys, I'm going to take a little bit more of my titanium white and just twist in a little cloud, right? Don't always have to do it with our fan brush. If you can get enough onto your 1-inch brush and do it that way, then do it that way, right? Blend it out and it will disappear, right? With that blue that's already wet, if your canvas is still a little wet. If it's dry, be careful, because that white has nothing to blend with, right? And your birds would never blend away anyway. So, this is mainly if you just painted yours and wanted to change it and add these little guys, okay? If not, then don't touch your sky. Now, let's take our fan brush and initially making the shape. Where is my other one just for reference? We're about right here, just about 4 inches away from the edge, and then we're going to come down and be pretty close. My signature is going to end up being taken out by this guy. And we're going to do a fair amount of them so we can practice, right? All of us are going to practice out here. So we'll wiggle down into all that deep, dark paint. Ew, it's nasty. Right? And then I'm going to draw down. Let's just go right here. Oof, my goodness. Now remember, you have to have it at a little bit of a bend, right? So it's not straight up and down. It's kind of further over here and going to be lower or fatter down along the bottom. And if you leave it skinny like that, it looks ridiculous, okay? So we're going to come in, make it at least about the size or the width of the fan brush at the top up here, right? So the more that you drop on, the more it will widen out. And then by the time we get down here, we need it to be a bit wider on both sides, right? So it gets a little wider as it gets down to the base, indicating the base is a little bit thicker, closer to us, right? We can get in here and really plop on. And if you don't have that liquid clear on your dry canvas, it's going to be very hard to drag this paint across the dry canvas, right? Even when we have the liquid white on the canvas, it becomes a very hard thing to drag across that whole canvas space. It's trying to, grab and grip our paint, right? Pop in a big old monster of a trunk. Oh my goodness. That thing is humongous, right? It's got a little thin in the center. And it doesn't have to be this straight line, right? You can have them have little bumps and humps and all sorts of things. But just from having that dark section against that lighter color of our sand, our sky, and everything else, doesn't that just look fantastically amazing? Now remember, you can grab this one, and if you do, it comes with a free spin on the spinny winnie wheel, because we're doing it in the live show, right? We're going to take our second little trunk, down in here, boom, right through the signature, it's gone, right? Now the second trunk, you can have a little thinner but I need it to go off the edge of the canvas over here. You know what I mean? We can have a little bit of a gap in between. It can be a little skinnier than our tree was initially, but it has to come down sort of at that straight line right here and then go off our canvas. And that's going to help it look like it's coming from a different place, right? Now, let's make them a little thicker. There we go. But one of them can be thinner, but not too terribly thin. Right? Hey, we don't need it to be too thin. There we go. Filling in all that section with our dark paint. Again, pushing back everything. We can pop in little bushes. We can do all sorts of things from this one. Now, this is what we didn't do on the bigger painting, the bigger canvas. But what if we got to make them big? I'm telling you. Get a lot of paint. We're going to come over here. And this one, since these guys are kind of on this downward sloping where it's a little bit tilted that way, let's make this guy pretty straight up. Like if we're looking out, we're going to see this one pretty straight. Oh, goodness. Just full brush. There we go. Ooh. Ooh. It's big. It's dark. It's crazy. Right? Now we have to fill it in, and it has to be thick. Okay? Don't. I definitely can't leave it like that now. But don't get scared. Okay? You have to get it large. There we go. Try to wipe off all that excess white. Any excess white that's still wet down there is going to try to turn my dark color a very bright grayish color. See how it's different down there? You need it to be dark. So when you go through that brightness, and plus it's going to get thicker, thicker, and thicker as it gets down to the base. Look at that though, dude. Talk about projecting distance right through the waves at this one. And again, you can add as much darkness as you want. You can make it as big as you want, but please make it big. Like don't get like, shy on me, right? Make these things humongously wide. And I'll show you, we're talking like 3 fingers worth of space at least. And this is a 16 by 20. If you do a bigger size canvas, that other one we made 5 fingers wide. So we're talking about a whole nother section on each side of this trunk, right? You need a lot of paint. It's got to be dark. So we lay it on there heavily, right? And then darken it, darken it, darken it up. I'm telling you, the darker it is, the more our highlights are going to stand out. So if anything, I can take a bit of black. And I'm going to ask you guys a question too. I had the followers or the watchers, the viewers out there, decide on the last painting where the light was going to come from. And they decided that all the light was going to come from the right in this painting. This is very much a midday painting. There's really no distinction where the light is coming from, right? See that little dip in? That's literally perfect, literally. The wider that we make it up here, remember, the wider we have to make it over here. So again, like a whole nother brush line worth of darkness. Now, I'm running out of my dark mix, so we're going to take our blue and crimson and our brown, just like we did before. If you want to add the crimson in as well, you can do it if you have it. In this painting, I only did the 4 colors, the blue, black, and brown, and white. So that's all we're using here. All right, so we'll come back. There you go. Remember, it's got to be wide down there. There, and dark, right? We have to load it full of paint. Now, some of the times, to you guys, because of the lighting that we have, it tends to look bright until I swipe horizontally across like this. And that tends to bring out that dark color and make it really vibrantly dark, right? You have to have it be dark. So if you're looking at yours and it's kind of, lightish gray and stuff, it's just not going to work. This is the dark base that all of the shadows exist in, right? So if we don't have that dark base, then you won't have deep, dark crevices between your trunk and all the bark and all that stuff, which is what I like, which is why we paint them this way. You obviously like them, which is why you're watching us paint them this way and follow me and watch me paint all the time, right? Look at that. Dude, it's like we're looking out. We've just come out of the forest, man, like Bigfoot. We're gonna check out, we're gonna scope out the coast over here. Yeah. Okay, so before we get rid of, there's only a very small amount of paint left. Before we get rid of that, we have to decide there's going to be lots of stuff that are, you know, we're kind of looking underneath. So if you imagine that you've got a branch coming out and then one coming out from above our canvas, just to show you that it continues on, right? Maybe one over here, maybe you got one off the back. And a lot of times down here, you're just dragging out this big broken chunk is all it is, right? Little thing over there. If you got a very fine fan brush, you can make a very fine little line, right? A little thing. You can do it with your liner brush, right? I tend to do them just this, especially with these guys, because we're going to cover over them, right? I'm not going to pay a whole lot of attention to the branches of something that I'm going to cover, right? Maybe this guy comes out this way, or he's got one going out that way, right? Maybe that's a little bit bigger. Maybe he's got a broken chunk. It just pops out into that light color. Maybe he's got a couple of them, right? How many little bits do you have? Because we're only really putting branches on these top dudes, right? So you really got to have a lot of paint, and we don't have a lot of paint. So we may only be able to get this first one out here, right? We're going to tap it, just like that. Then we're going to go a little higher, a little sooner, just like that. And then we're going to go underneath, and then tap underneath again, and kind of turn it and turn it and turn it, right? We're painting the underside of all these branches and different bits, right? We're not looking at them straight on. We're not looking at them from downward, how we would normally paint them, right? We're looking at them from underneath. So they got to have weird little things, maybe little bits that came out from different places that you didn't even see a branch for initially, right? Make them kind of filled in around the edge and dark enough in the paint that it's kind of blacking out our sky. And then we're going to drag our trunk down through all those little doofuses, right? Way back in there. So it pushes those little branches behind your trunk. Now, I need to mix up another enormous pile of paint because it takes a lot of paint. Let's even grab that crimson too. Why not? Our blue, our brown, nastiness, right? Just mix it into this really dark color. And all we're looking for is that heavy texture, right? That's really, really it. And for it to be dark, right? If it's not very dark, it's not going to stand out very well. And that's why you can see the difference right here. If I came in with this guy, see how dark it is? Right? It's going to stand out as being closer than something that's lighter, which is exactly what we want. Now over here, all you're trying to do is sort of fill it up without filling it completely, right? You're just kind of popping in, leaving a few little bits. You want one hanging down? Droop one hanging down. It doesn't really matter because those ones they don't matter. You don't even see them, right? And again, we're going to go through our tree. So we have that vertical drag of the paint that puts the trunk in front of all those other branches. So all these branches are poking off this way towards our open sky, right? And then we can see our big trunky bum over here. Right? We'll do one more little bit up there, a couple of things, right? And then you go down, down, down. A few little things. Not every tree and branch is going to have the same amount of bits on it. Right? They're not all symmetrical out there for sure. And we're deciding how full and how many things are back in there, right? The goal in this one is to add depth. That means you have to cover stuff, right? You got to done cover up all the stuffs. Pop that guy out down there, make him crazy looking, right? You want them to intermix? Probably not really, right? But you can pop a thing out over here. You can imagine there was a whole other bit up there. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe there was a little section that came out. Didn't even have to touch, right? Little things, you guys. God, if these aren't the coolest trees you've ever seen, just tell me otherwise. Look at that, dude. Seriously. How many little bits do we want to cover? How close? How dark? How filled in, right? How much of it is being covered by the top? Of just this last little... Oof, I just can't even believe. Just can't even believe it. That is amazing. Now, I really want to make sure, I like that opening right there, but I want to make sure there's a little bit. Oh, goodness. Remember to drag through these trunks. This one kind of looks cool with them wrapped around. It's all up to you, but if we're thinking that they're all on the front side, which they are some of the times, ooh, that's so great. Now, do you want to do any bushes at the bottom? Do you want to do anything? Do we want to run a commercial break? Have we run a commercial break? I don't think we have. What time do we start? Like 11 minutes maybe? 16. Oh, cool. Perfect time for a commercial break. So you guys hang out for this quick Paint with Josh commercial break, and we'll be right back after these words. Hi, it's Paint with Josh back in the studio. Did you know that along with oil painting classes, we also now do acrylic painting classes? Oh, it's going to be fantastic. You can either come right down here into the studio and I supply all the supplies. You leave with a really cool painting, or we can link up via virtual class and do a video call like Zoom. It's going to be fantastic, and you're going to end up with something like this. All you have to do to book one of these Paint with Josh acrylic classes is either go to the Paint with Josh app or go to the site, find the acrylic class, book your day and your time, and we're going to have a great time. Now, let's get back up to the show and see what we've been doing up there. What we've been doing up there. Doing nothing.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy's a doofus. Okay, I'm going to wash off my dark brush, that dark paint off my fan brush. And then we're going to really get in with our palette tool and start to create all this trunky texture on our tree, right? So by the time it dries, it's going to feel like actual wood bark, right? Now there's also two different ways to do it. Let's say that you're not so versed in the palette tool. And you're like, you know what? I don't know, I struggle with that palette tool. I just can't get it to work for me. Okay, we're gonna take the thinnest fan brush you can find. Okay, very thin, very small amount. We're gonna put a little bit of liquid white on it, go into our brown, right? Tap it in, tap it in, tap it in. It's gonna make the brown a bit brighter, but as it interacts, did you guys say right or left for the light? I didn't see, by the way. Anybody? It was a long time ago. Oh, Cosmic's checking it out. Visions by Mark is here. Everybody's here. I did. Middle, Rick. That's funny. Light, guys. Is it going to come from the right, like it did in the last painting, or are we going to make it come from the left, like it did, like it has in previous paintings, right? So we got right. I mean, where would you think the light would be coming from? Could be coming from directly above. In which case, it can come from always, right? Got right, left, right. And lots of people are saying right, so let's do that. Let's take our brown, right, with that liquid white onto there. And then, if you were going to do it this way, you can tap down a little, like a broken line. So I'm kind of separating as we go. And then I could come over here and I could tap down a little bit more. This is how we do it with acrylics, right? We tap down these little bits. And you're not going to have a lot of texture on a tree bark that doesn't have that thickness, right? Because now we're tapping these things down and creating our brown look. Same exact way as we do with our acrylics, okay? So this other way, we need more brown, is going to take up a lot more paint, right? But because it's oil paint, it's going to give us that texturous feel of real bark on a tree when we get done. So depends on how you like it and how much paint do you have. If you don't have a lot, right, then you can do the liquid white with the fan brush kind of acrylic technique, even in oils, right? Still works the same. And if I went across just to show you that it's exactly alike, right? We come over here with our liquid white and our yellow ochre this time, and we tap onto this little guy. Couple little lines, little tap, little bits, boom, 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 leaving some gaps and some things in between, right? Looks very much like the oil trees that we just did in the last show, especially if I spent more time on it, right? So either which way that you wanted to do it, you can do it, right? If you got a lot of paint, then use your palette tool and give us all that texture, right? Especially since I use my palette tool out here and kind of tapped at this rock. I need to use it here so this texture is even more severe than that is. That's further away. I shouldn't be able to see it as well, right? So lots of things to think of every time that you do a scene that you want to, I'm trying to show you both ways. I'm going to call this the acrylic way, like the brush way, you know what I mean, the fan brush way. And then the other way, the oils way. This is the way, right? Let's take a little bit of our brown. Plop it down here, little touch of our yellow ochre, very small amount. You don't need a whole lot.
Could you just look at the camera and say, why so serious?
I get that all the time, literally. That is the most, the biggest comparison. The most often I get compared to Heath Ledger's Joker. Yeah, and what's funny is I didn't even know I hadn't watched The Dark Knight because I don't really like Batman. Like, okay, sue me. I don't like Batman, okay? I'm not a Batman fan. I'm more of a Marvel fan than DC anyway, and I don't even watch those anymore. But, you know, when I did Batman, I was like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, meh, who cares? So I hadn't seen The Dark Knight. I was like, I don't care about Batman. I'm not going to watch this shit. Like, why am I going to waste like 2 movies on a character that I don't even like? And then I get it. I get it all the time where it's like, why so serious? And like,
Yeah.
I don't even try to sound like him. I just,
Holy smokes, that was good.
yeah, I just say it how I would normally say it. I like the ones where he's like, not every time is or not every pee-pee time is a poo-poo time, but every poo-poo, or whatever you're supposed to say it. There's some meme where they made the Joker say that. And I could just say that and sound like him. All right, so we're going to take our dark brown, Van Dyke brown, and a little bit of our plaque mixture just to darken it up even more. Bang, a little bit of that darkness, right? Then we've got our Van Dyke brown mixed with our yellow ochre. And then, if anything, we can use our pure yellow ochre on the edge if we need it, right? So first we're going to start with this darkest brown. We're going to tap from the center and go towards the back, leaving little ridges and gaps in between, right? Should be hard to see because it's a very dark brown, right? If we come tapping and chip-chapping over here and over there, right? The ShamWow commercial guy?
Yeah.
Strange. I guess I haven't heard ShamWows in forever. I don't remember the guy's thing. He'd be like, hi, I'm Billy Mays, and today we're going to be selling you, Chipotle away. Do you love Chipotle but can't deal with the terrible blood stains in your underwear? Well, now we have Chipotle away.
I love Chipotle.
Oh, dude. So we'll put a little bit of our brown onto the back side, just again tapping at it, right? Just like we do with our fan brush, we're just tapping in different places, right? Attaching all this thick texturous paint to the back of our trunks where it's very dark, right? The only reason we need it there is so that it can help our lighter color blend. So if we don't have this darker color first, then it becomes more difficult to do. This is why Josh does things in a certain order, right? Or a certain way, because you need it there to then mix our our lighter brown into a darker brown, and then our brightest color even to a darker color as it mixes across all this paint. Right? So we tap it down over here, over there, a bingo, a bango, a boom, right? Plopping it on. And again, normally all this bright color would not have existed if we just did it the oil way. I was trying to show you the acrylic way of doing it, right? Now, we've plopped on from half to the left, half to the left, half to the left of all that dark Van Dyke brown, some of it mixed with our plaque mix, some of it crazy, some of it, kind of just pure Van Dyke brown. It depends on how it got mixed up. So now we're going to go into that Van Dyke brown and yellow ochre mix, which is a much brighter color, okay? It was probably about 70% Van Dyke brown and then 30% of the yellow ochre. So if we come in and we scrape up a roll of this guy, okay, put it right onto that half bit and start working it kind of backwards and forwards. Right? So we're kind of taking it out this way and tapping it back across that darkness in certain areas, right? We don't have to have it be straight down the middle of all the dark, right? So we're putting some of this we'll call this highlight 1, right? This will be highlight 1. So first we have our base shadow, then we got our shadow paint, then we got highlight 1, then we'll do highlight 2, okay? So this kind of mid-range brown is again there to let the brighter color blend to a slightly darker color and allow this color to blend slightly darker as it gets back around the trunk of the tree. Right? We're not going to see the sun until you put on the last step. Okay, so don't be skipping forward. We're going to go almost about 80% to the edge of the tree with that chunky, lighter, mid-range highlight 2. Okay, so again, we're going to start here, start there, kind of tapping it almost straight down, but kind of, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's the best part about it. And let's say if you drop on a whole big chunk, come here and touch it, and then use it in other places. There's still enough there that I can tap in a whole nother little ridge, right? Now remember, we don't want to go too far to the side. with our highlight 2, not too far to the right or to the left. We're kind of splitting in between. And again, it doesn't even have to be a straight line. That's the best part about it. It can kind of wiggle back and forth. There's some areas where it's, where was that looking? Yeah, like it's real bright up in here. You got a nice bright patch, then it's kind of dark, then another bright patch, but they're not just straight up and down. Okay, now remember, all these trees are casting shadows even onto their own selves, and these are not the only 3 trees in existence, right? There are other trees off of our canvas that we cannot see that are creating shadows and dark areas for us automatically, right? So not everything has to be the same dang color. Okay, please. Even back here, right? So let's imagine all of our light. It's coming in. It's hitting this tree. You're going to see most of it, right? Hitting this tree, maybe see a little bit, start a little bit lower, see a little bit less. And then this tree in the back may not even get hit by the sun, right? So, especially at the bottom, it's going to be close to his little friend down here, right? Short chap in along the bottom edge. And then, as it gets, maybe we only catch that light right in the center. So when we get up a little taller, then we can get out to that right edge again, just so you've got that texturous color, only catching a little bit, right? That dark section right there is going to be bright very quickly. So let's mix a little bit more of the yellow ochre into what should be the last bit of our pile of brown. We don't need it to be pure yellow ochre, but we do need it to be considerably brighter than that last color. There, look at those. Yeah! I can't believe it came up with this idea right after class. I was looking at these other paintings and I'm going, holy cow, what if that was there and this was here? And oh, that would be so cool. Right, so we'll take our brightest color. This is when we're going to come along the edge, but if at all possible, we're going to leave a very small illustrator, like pencil thin line of darkness around the edge of the tree. Okay, that is going to make it look round. Right? Now remember, you don't have to go all the way down to the bottom, and none of these are supposed to touch. Okay, the more that you keep separation in between the color or the bright color, the more it's going to look empty. Right? It's going to look like there's a divot missing, a chunk ripped out. But if you kind of not, again, overfill it, right? But look at that darkness right there, that little spot. Kind of looks like a chunk is missing out of the tree. But if I just brighten it up a little bit, that chunk goes away. You know what I mean? It's all up to us. Now, how tall do you go up there? And then how far do you creep back with that brighter color? Now, let's say we drop on too much right there, right? Come kind of scrape at it, tap it up and down. Lots of space in between each tap, so we're spreading the color out. Now we got a very straight line right there. So what do we do? What do we do, guys? Do you go back to the dark, or do you sneak in one more little bit of brightness, making it look round, right? By coming out and then going back in. So we're here to there as you're tapping it around. You don't need to see every piece, right? What if we tapped in a bit over there? All up to us, right? We have to let there be pure dark shadow and that dark thick texture around the backside, okay? So if anything, do not let this light color get too stinking close to the back left edge, right? You have to have it separated up there. And so you get that light into a slightly darker brown into the darkest, right? And that makes it look so cool, you guys. That's wicked cool. Woo! Oh, it looks like I don't know, like the sun is about to set way over here. We're like 3 o'clock. It's coming in and hitting these trees, right? So now based off of this guy, where does your light hit on this tree? Because it can't hit the exact same places, right? Does it go down as far? Is there a bright patch right there where, again, we can tap onto that and let it extend up or down? The more times you tap at it, the more it's going to mix in with the dark base as well, right? That blackish, brackish base color that was there. So as we tap it and tap it and tap it, it will continue to get darker, right? You're choosing where it's hitting, right? We're creating, again, those little ridges, and not each one of these little ridges has to be perfect or straight or even connected, right? Catching a little bit of bright right there. But if it's if it's too bright, we'll come back over to touch. Who got this? I mean, is it this painting? Woo! Look at those trees. You guys, let me look at this thing. Let's see. Oh, okay, perfect. Perfection. Ooh, that was a cool one too. That one's been displayed right on the wall over there since we did it. And I did that with a class with Ingrid. She was one of the in-person students that comes in and takes classes from me. And that was a cool scene. She had brought in a picture. It's somewhere on the Oregon coast, somewhere. I didn't know exactly where. And it was a nighttime, like, lightning scene that looked really cool, right? And remember, this guy's furthest away. He's not going to be catching so much light out there in the night. And so we don't want to put too much of that bright color on the edge. Remember, we've got to leave a little separation, just a little bit of that darker color around the edge, just a pencil thin, teeny tiny thin, okay? Oh, look at those trees. You guys. Oh, I just can't with my own self. I'm going to get a little touch of my liquid white because I don't want to go too crazy on these dudes. We're going to put a little bit of our sap green with that liquid white and yellow ochre, okay? Makes it more yellowy green than anything else. And so a lot of times I'll say, even if we're doing grass, we're never just doing white and green, okay? Now, if remember, all of our light is coming in over here. I'm going to tap on little bits, little things, barely, right? Little bits. We're not supposed to see all of this stuff. It doesn't have to be supremely bright. I want it to be dark, if anything, right? These ones, especially back here, do not have to be as bright. So we're touching very lightly and only allowing a little bit of that paint to come off. If you touch it too much, right, it's going to drop off a brighter section in your branch, and that's not going to look good at all, right? We're not trying to cover all of the dark. If anything, we're trying to save. We're trying to put on like 10% highlights on top of these little things, right? And again, those guys we're going to leave dark. Yes, look at it. You guys, oh my God. Look at this tree and a half just hanging out. Woo! Plop it in there and make it nasty, dude. I'm telling you. So remember, you guys can grab this one if you want. It's available. It's over there in the store. We got some people over there already checking it out. So if you want it, head over and grab it. And it comes with a free gift on the spinny winny wheel, of course. All right, that is what we spun earlier. If you're watching the earlier show, we got that one all taken care of. Was that stars on Facebook? Hey, thanks for the stars on Facebook over there. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Seriously, love all the followers. The Facebook has rapidly grown into almost the biggest following, definitely the quickest growth. It's crazy. We're coming up on 2 years of having this Facebook page because the page that I had for years before that, I was tricked into giving it away, got conned into a whole bunch of nonsense. So having to start over 2 years ago, and now, within almost 2 years, almost getting to 1 million followers, that is an achievement, dude. Woo! Which is way more. When I first lost the page, we had like 738,000. And then I got tricked into like signing it away. And then they kicked me out and blocked me, changed the name and did all that stuff. And so if you ever saw, or you're like, why all of a sudden is this no longer the Paint with Josh page? That's what happened. It was awful. And I had to start over with nothing. Sure, I had all of my videos still that I could kind of go back to and post, and that's what led to, you guys finding me, coming and checking out the show. Here we go. Nasty. So this one, I love. I can't. Like, I honestly, I can't. I can't even look at it. It's so pretty. So if you want to grab this one, it is 2308 is the number. 2309. And it's available as the very first thing you'll see when you get over to the site, or if you check out the Paint with Josh app, it is over there as well. So we need to come up with a title for it, though. Did you know, if this is possibly your first time, what'd you say? Oh yeah, it is already titled. I painted it in class. So in any case, what would you want to title this painting, right? Let me know, because I'll tell you what I titled it after you tell me what I should have titled it. And like I said, if you grab this one, you get to spin the wheel, you get a free gift coming back to you. And if not, that is okay. I'm going to, after the show, I'm going to jack the price up on this one because it came out so fantastic. And if it doesn't find a home during the show, then it can be however much we want it to be. So, 1 billion with a B. Oh man, maybe one day, long after I'm gone. What'd you say? London's on to Chipotle. Funny. Oh, I see it. Oh! How many followers do you have, says Elizabeth Martinez. So we've got 897,000 on Facebook, 1.1 million on Instagram, 240,000 on Threads, 216,000 on YouTube. What am I forgetting? And TikTok, 820,000. So altogether, about 3.3 to 3.5 million people like what I do. And it's, yeah, it's crazy. It's legit mind-blowingly crazy. That's cool. Excellent. By the way, that's what was sold, was one of the, so I took and we did like a price reduction all the way down to like 50 on some of the older paintings. So if you want an original canvas this size for 50, literally, that's what they're over there for. I've got at least 5 of them over there for that. Sure, they're a little bit older. Maybe they're not as good as the new ones are, but they're available. So anyone in the world can have a Paint with Josh painting. Literally, that's my goal. That is the goal. Yes! Oh, you guys have been amazing. This one, we got to put our signature back in. Now that I've taken it out, I almost forgot about that. And then we got to plop the sucker back in. So let's get our black with our odorless mineral spirits into the black paint, because you have to make it very thin like watercolor. My student today, Janet, was very versed in watercolors and acrylics and came to me for the oil class because she'd never done those before. And it's funny because we have to make some of our oil paints like watercolor so that they'll, you know, drop off our brush easier. Let's get in here and go, caw-caw. Boom, boom, boom. I like these ones. Bingo, bango. Caw-caw. Bailey looks a little flat right here. Hang on. Zip. There we go. Now it's got the little pink. Now we got to throw in the old signature. And then, what did you guys think as far as a title for this one? I mean, I already titled it, but I want to hear what you would call yours if you did it. Sorry?
The Old Guard.
The Old Guard. I like that. Since you added the trees. Sneak Peek is cool. I like that one too. We got the birds in there. We're going to throw the old JK back here where it was before. There we go. Zip, zap, zoop. Bang, bang, boom. Perfection. Man, this one is so cool. I love the kind of yellowish, greenish highlights. It's not too noticeable. You don't really see it right away. It's very much like the reference photo I have of, one of 50 reference photos I took 2 days ago down at the coast. There was the tree was basically red, like it was reddish yellow and orange, and all the branches were yellowish orange and crazy in the sunlight, in the afternoon sun as it was setting. And then I have another tree that I took maybe 10 steps later that's all green and yellow, and the moss is growing up the trunks, and oh, I can't wait to paint all of these. But I was like, you know what? I did 4 of those vertical tree paintings, and not a single one of them found a new home until the one earlier today, the class earlier today, and then whoever gets this one, literally, right? And I'll keep adding these big trees. Otherwise, I'm like, you guys don't like the big trees, so I'm going to stop adding them to my scenes, right? Like, sure, I like them. That makes them really think. But if they don't find new homes, then what's the point in painting them? We're trying to run a business over here, right? So, yes, I can't wait to see what you guys can do with your little additions to maybe your old Paint with Josh Seascapes. It really adds a lot of depth, and you don't even have to do anything at the bottom. We cannot see the bottom of the tree, right? At least in this scene. To me, maybe we're up a little bit and we're looking out over the ocean, right? So we're not looking down enough to see the trees, right? We're looking kind of up. We're tilted up a little bit so we could catch the canopy underneath. Golly, that is just terribly fantastic. My word. I amaze my own self sometimes. I swearsies. All right. Where do I want it to be? Seriously. Do I want a bright area? Or now do I want to tap back into that darkness and then up into the frontness and then back into the darkness and then up into the frontness, right? To make it more dull. It's up to me, right? I am in control. God, so fabulous. Again, doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be anything. If that's not perfect, holy shaving cream, you guys in the night. Oh my, that's fantastic. Okay, I'm gonna get up on out of here. And I wish you guys a fantastic Friday evening. This one, again, at number 2309, is available with the additional added trees. I will go back and retake the photo. So the picture that you see on the front of the website will change, and it will take this seascape and add those trees to it. So you guys can grab this one along with any of the other paintings. I cannot wait to see your versions. Guys, please go back and do this. Make sure you got at least 4 to 5 fingers. 3 up here, right? Or 2 up here and 3 to 4 down here. All depends on your trunkety trees. But honestly, we can't wait to see them. Send them in or post them into the comments of any of my Facebook posts that you ever see. You can just drop your comment in right there in order for me to see it more quickly and more easily. God, the painting looks fantastic. So, I can't wait to see your version. We can't wait to come back tomorrow at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 8 p.m. on the East Coast. So until we see you guys again next time, who's ready to rumble? Want to just hit the camera. Well, that one came out amazing. I want to thank you guys for being here, liking, subscribing, tapping the screen, commenting, and interacting with me. It's all been fantastic. In the meantime, before we get to our next painting, be sure you check out paintwithjosh.com because there's always something else to look at over there. So until I see you guys again next time, take care.